I've got a question for you. Have you ever dreamt of buying a big car from a car company that is famous for making small cars? Well, your wish has been granted. Meet the Aceman, the not-so-mini Mini. What you got, Tom?
So Smart is going even bigger with the #3.
Did he just do that?
#3.
Well, I'm going to be talking about the Aceman then, if we're doing that kind of a thing. But the big question is, we got two cars that are kind of hatchbacks, they're kind of SUVs, maybe having a small identity crisis. But the big question is, which one is best? And the other big question is, which marketing committee got paid the most for coming up with these two ridiculous names?
Let us know in the comments which name is silliest, and while you're there, like and subscribe. Nikki, I think I know why the boss has put us two together in this video.
Me too. After 5 years, Ginny has finally listened to my one dying request to do a video with you, TV.
No.
Oh.
It's because she thinks that you're going to like one car, I'm going to like the other, and we're going to have a fight like rats in a sack.
Ooh, there's a thought, rats in a sack. All right, fine. Well, let's do a 3, 2, 1 and point at the one you think you're going to like the most. Okay, after 3, 3, 2, 1, fight! Predictable. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with your Smart #3. It looks pretty decent, but come on, it's a head turner and it drives well too.
I don't mind it, but this is just better in every way.
Oh, don't get ahead of yourself. Shall we take a closer look?
Let's do it.
So this is the Mini John Cooper Works Aceman Sport. That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Which costs £40,920. It has a 254 brake horsepower motor and a 49.2 kilowatt hour battery, which gives an official range of 214 miles.
And this is the Smart #3 Premium. It's a little cheaper than the Mini at £40,650, but it buys you more of everything. It has a 268 brake horsepower motor and a 66 kilowatt hour battery, giving a 283 mile range.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, you can tell it is very much a Mini, but it's not a Countryman, it's not a Cooper, it's bang in between. And it looks good. It's kind of sturdy, it's chunky, it's
buff.
muscular. It's
buff. It's been to the gym.
Just like you, Tom. It is buff.
But it's like square bits, aren't there? So there's like the lights are squared off, the wheel arches are a bit squared off too. It's odd, but as you say, it's a Mini. You can tell.
I like the angularness to it. It looks good.
I think this is the John Cooper Works, so it's got a few more spoilers and the big badges on it as well to tell you. And of course these big wheels.
Oh, I love the wheels.
Yeah, they are nice
the
wheels.
Little tuning forks.
Tuning forks, yeah, they're very funky,
really
two-tone,
nice
yeah, 19-inch, yeah.
And I like the two-tone of the paint as well. Obviously you've got the black roof, you've got the kind of black trim down at the bottom. Now, despite appearances, it does look quite big and chunky. It's actually not that big. It measures just over 4 metres, which is pretty much the same size as a Jeep Avenger or a Volvo EX30.
These roof rails are a bit SUV-ish as well, aren't they? You don't normally get roof rails on a hatchback. Something I like at the back,
like
the lights
the positivity.
do disco things. See if I can make it do it. You ready? It's like sort of Christmas or something.
If that's what you consider a disco, I feel really sorry for the discos that you've been to. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I wouldn't say I'm going to necessarily buy the car because of it, but it's a nice
It's something you'll show off to your friends, isn't it?
No, sorry, Tom. It's not something I show off to my friends. Is it something
My friends
you
would be impressed.
One thing that I'm a little unsure about is this. There's a lot going on. It reminds me of a hedgehog. Swooping in at the back, you've got your spikes. It also means that because it's narrow at the top, you really feel that on the interior. So we'll spot that when we go inside the car. But yeah, there's a lot going on.
This bit here, I think it looks like something's fallen off. So you know when you buy a new telly and you have those polystyrene bits at the bottom to protect it? Looks like someone stuck one of those on and painted it black.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Let's have a look at the boot.
All right.
Hey,
300 litres of boot.
Did you have to press a button there? How retro. And this is it, is it?
Let's have a look.
300 litres.
Yeah, that is it. There's storage for your cable.
And this lip here, do you need a ladder to climb up to put your luggage in?
Look, I actually think the lip is going to be really useful because I am going to have to cram in so much shopping on top of each other that I'm going to need the lip, because when I get home with my weekly Sainsbury's shop, open the boot, it's all going to fall out on the floor otherwise. So I need the lip. See?
I'm not convinced. Do you want a hand shutting it, since you haven't got a motor or anything to do that on your £40,000 Mini? Well done, well done.
To be fair, it is annoying. Shall we have a look at your smart #3? First impressions, it's very beige. And you know what they say about beige?
No, what do they say about beige?
I don't know. Nothing really.
Well, I like the beige. I'm a style guru, clearly, and I think it looks like warm drinks or yummy puddings.
What kind of a yummy pudding are we talking about here? I am the queen of puddings. This does not shout yummy pudding to me. The lights are nice. We like a light bar.
We like the lights,
It's not like we haven't seen light bars on many other cars.
No, true.
What is this? It looks like a plastic hubcap just planted on the front.
Aerodynamics. And also,
They're not plastic.
look,
They
look,
could be.
you can play tunes on it like a steel drum. Can't do that on yours.
Is that what you're going to show your friends that you can do as well? God, I want to come to your parties. And how long is yours?
4.4 metres, so about the same as something like an Astra. Bit longer, more for your money.
So you're like 35, 40 centimetres longer. Interesting.
Also, look, frameless doors, like a coupe. Now, you can do the wavy foot thing.
No one does the wavy foot thing, because by the time you've done it at least twice, you're not going to do it.
Watch.
Did you just press the A-hole?
I just put my finger in the A-hole and it opened. Look, that's big, and it look under
So
there.
how many litres is this compared to mine?
370. And of course, you want to shut it. I'm doing that and walking away.
Okay, I'll give you that. The boot wins. The boot wins. But you don't buy a Mini for the boot.
We don't normally buy smart for the boot, but
This video is brought to you with Andersen EV, the UK's most awarded home charge point brand of 2024, offering over 200 colour and finish options, a market-leading 7-year warranty, and a unique hidden tethered cable.
so I have to admit, it is quite nice in here.
It's so nice in here. The first thing that jumps out is this new kind of knitted material, which of course is sustainable, but also it feels really nice.
Yeah,
It
it's nicer than
looks
plastic,
good.
isn't it? Yeah.
And I feel like it's like a sort of cosy jumper giving you a little hug.
And it lights up at night. It's got a nice little pattern on here.
I would say the first thing though, when you do get in, you feel like you want to kind of race this car. It's
Yeah.
very sporty. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's like, this is a car
Yeah.
ready to be driven.
What are these straps for?
Beautiful aesthetic design. I don't know. And actually, it's so tight because it's stitched in. You couldn't actually use it for anything.
You couldn't like put a piece of paper with the
No,
directions on or
you can't
something?
do anything with it at all. But this is nice, isn't it? So instead of your traditional, head-up display and display in the middle, we have a nice round OLED screen. It looks good. It's like, a nod to... What?
Well, it's round. I mean, it's just a gimmick, isn't it?
It's not a gimmick. It's a nod to the
But
traditional
things like your
one.
CarPlay are square. The maps are square. It makes sense to have things square because things are... You don't go on like... If you went on a train with a round book, people would think you're a 5-year-old.
Here you go.
It's,
But they...
look, it's square in a circle.
You make a small point there that maybe is correct, but the beauty of having it a square in a circle is that you have the square and then look around the edge. There's a little space for climate control, seats, power, battery. I like it.
It looks like somebody's
different.
thrown a dinner plate at the dashboard.
How flat
And
are
what's
your
this?
dinner plates?
What's this?
This is your power on button.
This is more child stuff, isn't it? It's like my kids had one of those, stick-on things for driving in the car, and that had one of those.
Okay, slightly gimmicky, but it still looks nice.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
And I like all this sort of like gold finish. Looks good. No plasticky piano black anywhere. And look at this lovely pano roof. But there is one thing I have a small problem with, and that is the lack of storage space. Now, there are places to put things. So you've got your cup holders, you've got a place for your phone, you've got tiny door bins. But the only place to like dump things is this tiny little space here. And this is my test. These are the snacks that I keep in my car for school pickup. Are they going to fit? On their own? Just. But my other two essentials for the car are my glasses and my hairbrush. Don't laugh. Yes, my hairbrush. It ain't fitting. Obviously, you've got your glove compartment, but it's tiny, and that's just got your essentials in.
I have a nickel as well. You know, you get that workout by opening the boot. The door handle on this is quite weirdly far forward. So when you have to pull the door handle, it's quite hard. Now, I park on a slope.
Do you mean that?
No, but you try that, but then shut the door. And then, where do you shut the door from? You have to pull the door from it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trying to pull a door shut from the wrong end.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll give you that. My granny would struggle. But we've got some lovely opportunities for wireless charging, but only for one phone.
One other thing.
Oh.
These seats. I mean, they're quite nice. They're quite.
Yes. And they look good.
But they're
More
quite,
knitted, more red.
They're quite small. Do you think? It reminds
No.
me. You know when you go to a primary school and
Yes.
and there's a nativity play and they put out the kids' seats and they're those tiny little plastic seats and you have to sit on them and you're an adult and you go like. These feel a bit like that.
And you slightly fear it might break at any moment.
These feel a bit like that. They're a bit.
I
Small.
can't say I'd noticed.
Should we have a look in the back?
Come on then. Well, you're lucky I had a shower this morning because we are incredibly close right now, Tom.
Yes, normally I don't like to be this close to you.
Not much space back here, is there?
Not a lot, no. And the doors are tiny, aren't they? They open quite wide. They open to like 90 degrees.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But you have to cram yourself in. You got your dodgy door handles again that make it difficult.
But the door's so small it actually doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, I think we pointed out at the beginning, because of the shape of this car, because
Yeah.
it is so much narrower on the top half, it really comes in. Like, you feel like your head's going to hit the side of the car. And as a consequence, it just makes it feel very enclosed. It's not light and airy and spacious. But, having said all of that, ultimately, if you were looking at buying this car for yourself, how much do you care about your passengers in the back?
And I suppose if you've got small kids, it would do.
Small
Although
kids.
there
This
would
is,
get
I mean, there is
another seatbelt.
there is supposedly a seatbelt, but the width of that seat, your bum would have to be about that big. So if your bum is actually that big, you should be in a child seat or in hospital.
I think the Smart's going to win. Yeah. Should we go and have a look?
Yeah.
So your Mini, my Smart. I mean, this just feels like a bigger, more quality car. Very
Mini
different.
is like, yeah, let's have fun and a wild old drive. This is like, oh, I'm so mature and sophisticated, and look at all of the space for my
So
things.
there's your phone and two charging points. That's for your cups and
Coffee.
pens. That you open that. Go on. You're going to get
My snacks,
glasses,
my hairbrush.
and look, it's got a cooling thing if you want to keep your snacks cool. Place for your charging card if you've got an RFID card. And also, there's this big place under here for your handbag or whatever, underneath this sort of central spine.
This bit, yeah, I like it. I do like it. This is sort of Mercedes-esque with the
Yep.
fans in the middle.
Yep.
Lovely big screen, huge, nearly 13 inches, I think. The only annoying thing for me is that I have had to adjust my seat. Oh, not like that. To adjust my seat to come quite high, so I can see over the top of the screen. And I don't like driving this high. I like normally a slightly lower ride height. And it just does bug me when they have a big screen, but it just, like, there's like an inch that just gets in the way of your view of the windscreen. It's just a niggle that annoys me.
It doesn't bother me. It's perfect
You're
for me at
probably a
the
bit
right
taller.
height. Also, I have obviously that screen. There's another little screen here which you don't have, and a head-up display. I mean, your head-up display I think is a bit more detailed, but mine is better.
Shall we talk about the weird graphic though? Because as much as you have an extra display screen, I don't want to see that image. That reminds me of watching a child's cartoon.
Yeah, well, you can get rid of it if you have the CarPlay, and of course the CarPlay will fit in the size of the screen because it's rectangular, not circular for no apparent reason.
Here's this chap.
Yeah.
Nodding, weird cheetah guy.
There's a weird cheetah cartoon guy who...
Does it say hello every time you get in?
Do you remember the Microsoft paperclip who used to come on?
Yes!
Yes.
Hello!
In the 90s. It's a
I'm
bit
here to
like
help.
that. I think he kind of helps.
And I also don't think it goes with the vibe of the rest of the interior.
Yeah,
the rest of the interior is like very
Sophisticated.
sophisticated and stylized, and this just feels like I'm looking at my kid's iPad.
True. Place for your glasses up there.
Oh,
And he doesn't have that.
and I've had just a quick glance back there.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Shall we
Let's go and
enjoy
have a
the
look.
space?
Mickey?
Oh,
Do,
sorry.
do you want me to phone you because it's so far? Do you want me to call? Is it
All
gonna be,
right, very funny, very funny, very funny.
big in
It's
here, isn't
a
it?
bit bigger in here. Yeah, okay, quite a lot bigger in here, you're right. And it's just really light and airy and spacious and lovely. I mean, look at that head
Yeah.
height.
Yeah.
Huge.
This lovely big
That's
sunroof.
actually for a real normal sized person. You could get 3 adults back here.
Look at
There's
the leg room.
loads of leg room.
The floor's a little bit higher, but it's flat in the middle.
It is flat in the middle. It just feels, back here, it's a nice place to be. The back of the Mini is caught on camera. He broke it. He broke it! He broke it!
Fixed it. There you go.
At least it works. You were just testing it out, which is what your job is. Yeah, and just the style, the design again. Like, look at these like little fancy shapes that they've got for the door handles, and the fancy shaped fans, and the
And
fancy
the logos
shaped.
and things.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
don't really
isn't
like the logo there, but anyway. All right,
Oh,
fine.
look at
I'll
them.
give you that.
Have you seen these little
The little
studs?
rivet things. Yeah, it's smart. Oh,
Ah, smart.
smart.
And not mini.
No, not Mini. No, definitely, it is definitely not Mini back here. But do you know what time it is now? Let's go driving. Come on. Right, now if you know your Minis, you will probably know that the Mini Cooper drives, well, it's basically go-kart style, isn't it? It's really fun, really playful. And on the other hand, you've got the Countryman that is more comfortable, more refined. Well, I'd say the Aceman sits somewhere in the middle. It is still fun, but it is just slightly more refined, just to get that little bit of extra comfort. And the first thing you notice when you get in is that this really feels like an electric car. Now, I realise that sounds silly because obviously it's going to feel like an electric car, but what I mean is that this has so much power, so much acceleration, so much instant torque. That power delivery is really quite intense. Like, do you want to be doing this throughout your journey the whole time? I mean, okay, appreciate you could be a little bit more gentle on the throttle, but the point is the acceleration's quite intense. Now, another thing to be aware of is that this has front wheel drive. So again, it's also fun to drive, but it's been slightly struggling with hard acceleration. I have been getting a ton of wheel spin on these wet roads. Now, when it comes to steering, it is sharp, it has responsive handling, it gives you that sporty feeling that you would expect from a Mini. This has more forgiving suspension than you'd expect from a Cooper, so it's going to be a lot more comfortable on those longer journeys as well. Now, when it comes to regen, there is just this B mode button. It works really well, but there's only one option for regen. It's either on or it's off, and you could effectively do one pedal braking with it. Let's pop it on. Here we go. Now, kicks in nice and strong, and that will bring us to a complete standstill. Now, in a car like this, we're talking 258 brake horsepower, which is quite a lot for such a small car. 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds, quick. And then efficiency is all right. It averages about 4 miles per kilowatt hour, but the battery's a bit small. 200 miles doesn't seem so great these days. WLTP is 214 miles, so it might slightly lose out to the Smart Hashtag 3 on that one. I wish it had a slightly longer range.
I drove down here today in the Mini, so I've hopped straight into this, and it's quite an interesting comparison. This feels instantly like a much more grown-up car. In fact, it feels a bit like a Mercedes, which isn't surprising because Smart is owned by Mercedes. It feels more comfortable, it feels bigger, of course, because it is. There's just something a bit more mature about driving it. Now, in some ways that's great because it means I feel more relaxed, and on a longer journey it's going to be less tiring. But I will say it doesn't have the sense of fun of the Mini. But it's also a bit more composed because it's got more power, it's faster. If I want to put my foot down, it really is quite quick. It's faster than a rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3, for example, which is always kind of the benchmark for silly fast electric cars. But the crucial factor about this over the Mini is that the power is all going through the rear wheels. So that means you don't have the scrabble when you're going out of a junction, but also the steering feels a lot nicer. Niggles, well, it's the same on all Mercedes models and some Volkswagens, I know that, but this stalk here just does your gear selection, nothing else. So all the other functions are crammed onto here, and it's a bit like doing a Rubik's Cube if you want to get the rear wiper on. So it's the rear wiper, the front wiper, the washers, the indicators, everything else just on that one stalk. You know, people talk about information overload. Well, this screen, okay, it's more sensible than the dinner plate you get in the Mini, but there's a lot going on here. If I want to find some information quickly, I'm not quite sure where to find it. And then if that's not enough, there's another screen down here which is perfectly clear, and then there's a head-up display as well with, okay, fair enough, just my speed, but do I really need all that? I don't know. It seems silly to complain about having too many screens, but I'd rather it was just simplified a little bit. The ride, although it's refined, it's not quite the sort of leap that I expected above the Mini. The Mini is very go-karting, very small, and I was thinking, oh, it's all very firm and bumpy, but so's this. I suspect it'll be a lot better on the lower spec models which have smaller wheels. As you'd expect, there are drive modes, and there's plenty of them, and you can get them just by pressing one button over here. Now, regen braking, you have to go into the menus to choose which one you want to do. You can also change the steering feel. Now, you can have it soft or heavy, but there's also an auto setting, which seems to do a good job of making it a bit lighter when you're parking and a bit firmer at speed. As you'd expect, there are all the safety systems, and there are some bings and bongs. They've tried to put a bit of playfulness into it, I think, so that it's, rather than having bings and bongs, they're actually like blum, blum, ding, blum, blum, blums, which are pleasant and unintrusive, I suppose. I think what it is about this car is that for, what, 90-95% of your journeys, this is the car you would choose. It's more comfortable, it's better at doing long distances, not least because it's got the better range. It's more comfortable. It's faster, I think, on most roads too, but it doesn't have perhaps the playful nature, the cheeky nature of the Mini, which you might want for, say, 5% of journeys. Now, that's not a good ratio for me. I'd much rather go for the car which is better for 95% of the time. You know, you've always got a mate who's an absolute hoot on a night out, but you wouldn't want to live with them. That's the Mini. This is the car that you'd want to live with. And for me, that makes it a clear winner. So, Nikki, I feel sorry for the poor Mini.
Whoa there! We don't need your pity.
It's comprehensively outgunned. It's got faster charging, it's faster, it's got more space, it's got more equipment, charges fast, everything's better about it.
I mean, you have a point, you have a point. But just look at it, it just says blandness. I just think, look, it is a beautiful thing to look at, but it's not eye-catching. No one's going to stop and go like, oh, it's the Smart #3. They're just going to walk on by and be like, oh, quite a nice car.
Look at this, because it looks wrong.
You're not going to forget you've walked past it. See? Memorable. Memorable. No, I hear your points, and you know, if my head was doing all of the work, you are right. The #3 does kind of win or equal to. I think the driving, which I would say is on a par. Each has its own kind of benefits there. But yes, overall, yours maybe does win on all of those points.
So fact saying the Smart wins.
But if it was my decision and I was genuinely buying one of these cars, the Aceman's got it for me. And I tell you why. It is a great little runaround. It is not a car that is going to get upset with me when I get it muddy, when I have football boots in the back, when there are crumbs everywhere. This is a car for everyday running around family life. That is a car to be driven to work, left in the car park, and then you come home and you have your dinner served on the table. That's that person. This is the person that runs the household, that runs around everywhere, going to the football and the rugby and yeah, that's my point made.
It does have a bit more character, I suppose. I suppose. What I would say though, I wouldn't buy either of these two.
Oh.
Because these top spec versions don't make any sense, especially if the £40,000 luxury car tax comes in. That's going to be.
This is very, very important. Can you just quickly recap on the luxury car tax and whether or not it's going ahead?
So
important.
from April, unless there's a change in either the price of these cars or the government gets cold feet and brings it in, it's going to cost you a lot more on the road tax every year. So £410 more per year for any car over £40,000, and these are both over £40,000.
Just a smidgen.
But
yes.
Even if they weren't, and even if it wasn't for that tax, I think these top versions don't make as much sense as the cars lower down in the range. I think they've got too much power, which is not something you say often, but that wheel spins, that feels faster than it needs to be as well, and they've got big wheels and all those other things. Just get one that's lower down.
Agreed. And just to be very, very clear, that's April 2025, depending on when you're watching this video. Okay, well, shall we, I mean, you may have guessed, but shall we pick which ones we're going for?
Yes, which one are you going home in? Yes, and I'm going home in that one and being more comfortable and getting there without a charge.
Also, just to be clear, I don't actually go to Sainsbury's to do my food shop. It's online. I don't need a massive boot.
Which do you prefer? Let us know in the comments and tell Nikki she's wrong. Thank you.
No, don't do that. Tell Tom he's not very smart.